Can you solve this in 30 seconds? Find the equation of a line perpendicular to line 2y equals to 5x plus 4, which passes through the point 4 minus 2. So here now we want to find the equation of a straight line that passes through this point 4 and 2. So this is passing through just one point given to us. Now please take note, when you're looking for the equation of a straight line that passes through one point, you use this formula: y minus y1 equals to m into bracket x minus x1. The points provided are 4 and 2, so you call this x1 and you call this y1. We would have just substituted in this formula, but we need the value of m. M represents the gradient of that line we are looking for. That's where the word perpendicular comes into play. When two lines are perpendicular to each other, the product of their gradient, the gradient of the first one times the gradient of the second, is equals to minus 1. So in order for us to find the gradient needed to find this equation, then we need to find the gradient of this other equation. Remember, we are asked to find a particular equation. So let's call that equation 1. This is what we are asked to find. Let's call this equation 1. Now, this equation is perpendicular to another equation. Let's call that equation 2. And that equation 2 is provided here. It says you have 2y equals to 5x plus 4. So this is given in the question. You're finding the equation of this one. So I told you that when these two equations are perpendicular, now I'm explaining this way because you could have this question in another dimension. So it is important you have the full dose, the full knowledge of this. When two lines are perpendicular to each other, it means that the product of their gradient is equal to minus 1. So we want to find the gradient of this because we want to find the equation. We need that gradient. The gradient of this and the gradient of this second equation, when you multiply together, it is equal to minus 1. So let us find the gradient of this equation. The gradient of this equation, let's call it M2. To find the gradient of this equation, this is the equation 2y equals to 5x plus 4. We would express this in the gradient intercept form. Every linear equation can be expressed in this form: y equals to mx plus c. It simply means make y the subject of the formula. In other books, you could say it as y equals to mx plus b. It means the same thing. M here represents the coefficient of x, and that is the gradient. Yc is a y-intercept, the same thing as b. B represents the y-intercept. So we want to find the gradient of this second equation that is provided to us. So to do that, the coefficient of y here is 2. So I will divide the other side by 2. And so y equals to 5x over 2 plus 4 over 2. I'm only interested in the coefficient of x. And the coefficient of x here is plus 5 over 2. So my gradient, which is m2 for the second equation, is equals to 5 over 2. That's the gradient of this equation. This equation here, that's the gradient. But remember, this is what I'm looking for. I want to find the equation that passes through this point, 4 and 2. I already have the value of my x1, which is 4. I have the value of my y1, which is 2. I'm interested in finding m. To find m, come back to this statement here. Look at this statement. M1 times m2 is equals to minus 1. So let us find m1. I called the equation we are looking for m1, so I am referring to the gradient of the equation we're interested in. So m1 is already, okay, we have m2 as 5 over 2. So m1 times m2 is equals to minus 1. So that means my m1 will be equals to minus 1 divided by 5 over 2. I've just divided by the coefficients. And so this will be minus 1 times 2 over 5. So the gradient is minus 2 over 5. So this gradient represents the gradient of the equation we are looking for. So we can just substitute into the formula. Y minus y1 is equals to m into x minus x1. So this is the formula that helps you to find the equation at just one point. So here I have my y minus y1. I got y1 earlier. It is given my y1 is 2 and my x1 is 4. So I'm just going to substitute y1 as 2, and then here I have minus 2 over 5, then x equals to 4. Just to confirm that I have that. Okay, x1 is 4 and y1 is 2. So at this point we can multiply through by the LCM. The LCM is 5. So to clear this fraction, I have this as 5y minus 10 equals to minus 2 into x minus 4. And so when you open up these, I have 5y minus 10 is equals to minus 2x plus 8. Finally, when you look at the form of the option that is provided, everything is equals to 0. So I'm just going to rearrange this so that I have my answer as 5y plus 2x minus 10 minus 8 equals to 0. And so I have this as 5y plus 2x minus 18 equals to 0. So this is the equation we are looking for. And that is option, let's check. That's option A. Is it A? Option D. That's the 5y plus 2x minus 18 equals to 0. So that's it in finding the equation of a straight line when it passes through a point.